story?
Yeah, Grandpa, I can't sleep either.
Alright, I'll tell you a story. Let me think of a good one. Oh, I got it. Do you want to hear about the Boston Massacre?
Sure.
Okay, so let me start from the beginning. It was a cold winter night on March 5th, 1770, in Boston. A group of colonists were exiting the bar after a night of drinking and having a grand old time, right? They were a bit rowdy and tipsy, to say the least, so they thought it would be a good idea to throw snowballs and make fun of some British soldiers.
That's mean.
You're right, young Cameron, that is mean, but they were angered for good reasons, but I'll touch on that later. Anyway, the British soldiers weren't a huge fan of getting made fun of, so they were pretty angry. But then a really unfortunate thing happened. Someone yelled fire, and oh, they did. As it turns out, there was a fire nearby, and somebody was warning the public. However, it had a different effect than was intended. This left 5 colonists dead and some pretty angry people.
Did any of the bad guys get in trouble?
Yes, in fact, the British captain Thomas Preston and his men were tried for murder, with Robert Treat Paine as prosecutor, John Adams and Josiah Quincy as lawyers for the defense. Preston and 6 of his men were acquitted. 2 others were found guilty of manslaughter, punished, and discharged from the army. So do you still want to hear more?
Yes!
Okay, I'll continue on then. So as I was saying, this made some people pretty angry towards the British, one of them being Paul Revere, who created an engraving of the event calling it the Bloody Massacre in King Street. However, his engraving had some inaccuracies, and he made it look like the British were enjoying killing the colonists. Although this was really effective and helped generate even more hate towards the British. So as I was saying, this made some people pretty angry towards the British, one of them being Paul Revere, who created an engraving of the event calling it the Bloody Massacre in King Street. However, his engraving had some inaccuracies, and he made it look like the British were enjoying killing the colonists, although this was a very effective form of propaganda, and helped generate even more hate towards the British.
But why do they hate the British so much?
Well, Paul Revere hated the British because he was a colonist, and there were a lot of tensions that built up when royal troops first appeared in Massachusetts in October 1768 to enforce the heavy tax burden imposed by the Townshend Acts. Suffice to say, the colonists didn't want to pay the heavy tax, so they weren't so happy with the British.
Oh, I get it.
Grandpa, why is this so important? I don't
Well, the Boston Massacre was a major component to the reason the Revolutionary War started, because it led directly to the royal governor evacuating the occupying army from the town of Boston, and it would soon bring the revolution to armed rebellion throughout the colonies.
So because of someone yelling fire in the town square, the American Revolution started, sparking a new era, thus creating the Democratic United States of America, which is arguably the most powerful nation on the earth at this moment, leading the scientific, literate, and military community.
Aren't you 5?
I mean, night-night, Grandpa.
Thank you, Grandpa, for this amazing story.
It's all in a day's work. Now sleep, child. It's late.